I have breaking news for you. We live in an imperfect world. We just do. And this video is a good example of that because at any moment, the sound of my apartment is going to be filled with the sound of drilling because turns out old apartments have old water pipes that tend to leak. And the only way to get to them is through destruction, apparently. So this is why this video is not going to be the usual in-depth, breakdown of the newest signing for St. Louis City SC. This time, it's its new gaffer, Olof Mellberg. So who the hell is Olof Mellberg? Well, for one, he used to play for Aston Villa. That's why I'm wearing the Aston Villa kit today with the St. Louis City hat. It's called Synergy. But also, Mellberg is the former head coach of Brommapojkarna. And I am 99% sure that is close to how you say that name, if not exactly how you say that name. I researched it about 5 times because it doesn't just exactly roll off the tongue. I didn't know that Brommapojkarna even existed this time last week, but then again, you probably didn't either unless you are a true Scandinavian soccer sicko. Alliteration, folks. But Mellberg comes from this small club, and I do want to emphasize this is a small club in terms of its top flight status. Brommapojkarna was promoted 2 seasons ago under Mellberg's leadership, and they survived a relegation playoff last year, and this past season had their best finish ever as a club, 10th in the Allsvenskan, which is the top flight of Sweden. Now, this is a club that has routinely one of the smallest net spends in all of Sweden, so Mellberg has had to work with less. But I'm going to explain maybe why that they run on such a shoestring budget. Hint, hint, it's kind of the design of that club. Again, I mentioned that Mellberg is a Aston Villa legend. He played central defender for Aston Villa, played over 200 caps for them, also has over 100 caps in Sweden as with the national team. Yes, I'm going to say Sweden this way because, this video needs a little bit of flair after all, besides just me talking at you. But the point that I'm going to make here is that this is a club, and when I say this, I mean St. Louis City. St. Louis City has had issues this past year with locker room chemistry. I mean, we've documented them. It's been talked ad nauseum on your favorite podcast. Hopefully it's River City Ramble, but, if it's not, that's totally fine too. I mean, I'm also a flyover footy fan, so, whichever you prefer. But I guarantee you that the locker room issues with St. Louis City SC this season have been discussed ad nauseum, and I'm not going to bring them up here anymore because we've already been down that road. But one of the big projects that Lutz Pfannenstiel has undergone is repairing that locker room and bringing in some personalities that are good locker room personalities that jive well together, that play well together, that know each other very well. Marcel Hartl, Cedric Teuchert, Jonas Horn, all from the German under-21s of the late 2010s. Timo Baumgartel, who might be coming to St. Louis this offseason, also part of that club, if you will. And now you add a former national team defender and a big-time international club player in Olof Mellberg. I think this signing is being done in part because of the simple fact that he is a former player, and former players do tend to listen to current players. He is what you would call a player's coach, and I think that was important for Lutz going forward. Another thing that I find very important with Olof here, and this kind of jives with what issues that we've had with our previous head coaches, Bradley Carnell and John Hackworth, is the fact that he appears to be someone that is willing to pivot tactically if the situation merits it. And I say that because he is proven to have multiple formations in his locker. Like, he will be, I believe I can't find the website now. I saw it referenced the other day, but like, he played with something like 13 different formations at Brommapojkarna Wait, I think I screwed that up again. Brommapojkarna. He played 13 different... I'm going to just do that again. He played something like 13 different formations at Brommapojkarna this past year. A lot of 3 in the backs, but some, 4-2-3-1s. Transfer Market lists his favorite formation as a 3-4-3, which... that would be interesting for St. Louis to roll out. I don't know if we would have the personnel for it, because you could have Klaus or Betcher up top, Toy Shirt Hartle behind them, maybe, and then you would have Totland, Horn, Reed as the wing backs. You could still have Leuven and Durkin centrally, and then you have the 3 center backs. It could work. I just, thought of that. But regardless, how many times have we cursed because it seems that during games neither Carnell or Hackworth could really pivot very well based on the situation? Well, it seems like Mellberg can, and he is willing to throw out a different look, if the situation merits it. And with the squad that St. Louis is building right now, you have a lot of players that have versatility that can kind of float between different positions. Jake Girdwood Reich, for instance, can play center defensive mid. He can play center back. Giannis Horn can play wing back. He can play as a left center back. You have Celio Pompeu coming back. Maybe when he returns, plays a left wing back role. It seems to me when you are playing in a 3 in the back role, you want your wing backs being able to bomb up and down the wing. I mean, that's kind of, that's Celio's game, that's Totland's game, that's Rasmus Alm's game. I'm wondering if that's the look going forward. But regardless, time will tell on that. Now, it's very easy to look at Olof Mellberg, and this is why I was making that preamble of why we live in an imperfect world. Look at my scars, for instance. You kind of get Atar, kind of bleeding over Santos here. It's just because I just can't align them perfectly. The stars don't align perfectly for at-home content creators, and they don't align perfectly either for MLS clubs. MLS is a tough sell for top European coaches. It is very hard to lure someone that has a really good rep to MLS. Coaches see it as a step back. It's also less money in more instances than not. I'm sure for Mellberg, it's going to be more money, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. But yeah, this was a hard sell for Lutz to import someone, and it seems to me that was important for Lutz and the club because we have a very international roster right now, and that may also have helped lure someone like Mellberg or Eric Hornland, who was the other rumored finalist for this position, because they would come into a club that has a core of Germans, Swedish players, Totland's Norwegian, Thor's Icelandic. There's a big European influence with St. Louis City, and I think that's partly by design because it's hard to get European players to come over here unless they have players that they know already, or at least have come from a familiar culture. And that's not even to mention that St. Louis has issues. I think it's a pretty poorly kept secret that one of the reasons Marco Reus didn't sign with St. Louis, despite the power of friendship with Roman Bürki, is the fact that, if you're comparing St. Louis to an LA, better weather in LA, more to do in LA, it's a bigger city. I think it's a pretty poorly kept secret that Marco Reus's wife preferred the West Coast, or maybe even the East Coast. It's a problem since time immemorial. And it's just the fact of the matter is that St. Louis does have to compete with the coasts, and even Chicago, for instance. I think it's another. I don't think it's any secret that Roman Bürki lives in Chicago with his wife in the off season. It's just the way it is. Chicago's the bigger city. But then you also have issues. St. Louis is smack dab in the middle of the country, and unfortunately, it does have a reputation for crime. It's hard to overcome a perception. It just is. It takes time. Yes, we're getting better. Our numbers are looking better in terms of homicides and crime and all that stuff. But and yes, crime can happen anywhere. But the fact of the matter is perceptions are just simply hard to overcome sometimes. So you have all those issues working, against hiring a big name guy. So, and if you look at Olof Mellberg's record at Brommapojkarna, when he was first mentioned as a rumor, a lot of St. Louis fans looked at him and thought, ew, gross, because his, win-loss record isn't the most impressive. But you have to look deeper. And you have to look at, not just his situation in Brommapojkarna, which I'm very proud I can still say mostly correct in this video, but also just, compare it to the situation here in St. Louis and the situation with MLS. And speaking of the situation in St. Louis, another reason I think that maybe Lutz looked at Olof and thought good fit is because Brommapojkarna is not just the biggest youth system in Sweden, not just the biggest youth system in Scandinavia, it is the biggest youth system in Europe, period. And to the quantity of almost 250 youth clubs and 3,000 youth players. This is a club that, if you think of like a Nordsjælland, for instance, in Denmark. Nordsjælland is famously with Right to Dream Academy. They have a very world-renowned academy system where they are able to bring in a lot of African players, but they also recruit pretty well within Denmark as well. And Michael Damsgaard is a good example of someone that came up from the Nordsjælland Academy, along with Mohamed Kudus in West Ham. I think he's West Ham now, but he's a prominent player for Ghana. And you look at that, and you look at St. Louis's academy situation. Now, if you haven't been paying attention to the St. Louis City Academy, first of all, I don't blame you. You have to be like really, really into the game, and I'm not even that deep into it. But my friend Jake Henry keeps an eye on the academy and is constantly letting me know about under 14s winning, under 15s winning, under 16s winning, under 17s winning. Like our record with our youth academy teams is pretty ridiculous. Like we have a really good crop of players already here in St. Louis, which anyone that grew up in St. Louis and knows anything about St. Louis area soccer knows this area is a hotbed for youth soccer. Well, now we're harnessing it just 3 years in, and like we have, a really good academy system. Now, granted, a lot of these players are probably a few years away, but we're already starting to see fruits from the academy system. Mackay Joyner, there's a good chance he's on the main roster next year. He's got a big roster contract. We'll see what his future holds. We have Brandon McSorley emerged last year. Jaden Reed, he didn't come up from the academy, but he's another younger player that we discovered that was jettisoned from Red Bull New York, and we were able to cultivate him into now a full-time MLS player. And so I don't blame Lutz for looking at what Olof did in Brommapojkarna and seeing how that might translate to here in St. Louis. Because again, if you're going to have a problem with recruiting players, we're pretty lucky to have the likes of Marcel Hartl, a Roman Berkey, a Cedric Toyshirt here. But it is kind of hard to recruit. So the other way to build a good club in MLS is through the youth. And it seems to me that bringing in Olof, who has experience running Europe's biggest youth system, might be an indication that maybe St. Louis looks more internally going forward for talent and looks to cultivate its own talent. Again, Mackay Joyner might be ready for the pros. Maybe not a full-time job, but maybe he can go the Celio Pompeu route, where Pompeu excelled at City 2, got in a limited time in 2023, but then emerged as a starter in 2024. Maybe Joyner can kind of follow a similar path that Celio did. But Olof does have experience, running a shoestring budget and a strong youth academy system. And I don't blame Lutz for looking at that and thinking, hey, this might be a good fit for St. Louis here as well. So What do you think of the Olof Mellberg signing? I know this video was kind of quick and dirty here. Again, I think the work is actually about to start pretty soon. That's going to be pretty noisy, so I had no other time to record this. What do you think of the Olof Mellberg signing? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think he's the right move? When you look at him, do you see past, the surface, and do you see maybe why he might be a good fit for St. Louis? Or do you just flat out like his beard? I mean, he's got a fantastic beard and a fantastic look. Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want more St. Louis City content like this. This is your soccer zombie, Tom Franklin, and again, I apologize for the kind of slapdash nature of this video. Life isn't perfect, timing isn't perfect, and part of the reason that this video is coming out like this is because my focus has been on the NWSL Championship. They just played it in Kansas City Saturday night. I did a vlog on it. Some of you have watched it, but if you've been making that vow, hey, I need to watch more women's soccer, well, here you go. There's women's soccer right up here.